And good evening, everyone. Welcome to KPU Collaborative Online International Learning Information Session. My name is Leah. I am the Global Development Coordinator here in KPU, responsible for coordinating our university partnerships. So I will be our moderator for today's session. So as most of the attendees today work in KPU, we would like to acknowledge that at KPU, we work, study, and live in a region south of the Fraser River, which overlaps with the unceded traditional and ancestral lands of the Kwantlen, Musqueam, Kazi, Semiahmoo, Tuasin, Kikwit, and Kwikwetlem peoples. So before we officially start the session today, I would like to go through some housekeeping items with you first. For participation, I'm sure some of you will have questions along the way of our presentation. So please feel free to type your questions in the chat area anytime during the session. We will have a Q&A session at the end of the meeting, and hopefully we will answer all of your questions during that time. Also, please note that our session today will be recorded. So you will receive the recording as well as today's PowerPoint slides after the session. So next, I would like to introduce today's panelist, Ada Lee, KPU Global Development Manager, Leslie McConnell, KPU instructor from School of Business. We are also honored to have Blanca Udias, study abroad advisor from our valuable partner, University of Monterrey, join us today as well. So basically, Ada will give us an overview of the COIL, and then Leslie and Blanca will jointly present on a case study afterwards. Now, without further ado, I would like to pass on to my colleague Ada Lee, KPU Global Development Manager, to provide some context for today's presentation. Now, Ada, the floor is all yours.
All right, I just have to remember to unmute myself. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining in the morning or evening for our partners in Europe. And thank you, first of all, Leah, for making this happen and coordinating and providing all the logistical support. Without you, this would not have happened. I see the list of participants here today is really exciting. We have a good mixture of faculty members from different areas represented in this call. I also see some partners from abroad joining in this call. So hello friends from UDEM, PUJ, and AUS. Also see Carol on the call. Carol is our AVP International. So thank you, Carol, for the support you've given us for all these COIL. So as Leah mentioned, I'm here to share with you some of the global engagement activities in the virtual world. And give you some context of the COIL program at KPU. Let me begin. Next, please, Leah. Okay. So global engagement at KPU, really, we have these objectives to foster diversity through supporting our international students that come to KPU. Build global citizenship through an international mobility for student and faculty, and enhance international cooperation through global partnerships and joint efforts. Specifically, this unit, the Global Development Team, which I oversee and Leah is part of, we create and build global learning opportunities for both students and faculty. So this GD team includes the Study Abroad unit and the partnership team. Next slide, please. So some of the challenges we've had in just promoting in-person global learning opportunities as a whole with students and or faculty, since even before the pandemic happened, were basically accessibility issues for people who cannot travel abroad for any reason. It could be that they have commitments here or, physical disabilities and other stuff like that. Obviously, the cost of international travel can be quite prohibitive a lot of times. Sometimes for students, the degree structure doesn't allow room for any non-credit experiences, so they're quite limited in what they can take. And specifically with the pandemic, as you all know, it imposed a lot of travel and restrictions that really basically put our student and faculty mobility to a halt. So, as a response, we really had to adapt, but it really presented us a chance to innovate and use these new way of thinkings that, basically we were looking at before the pandemic, but we really never had the time to really invest into it. Some of the things that we've done, we had to rethink what traditional mobility means. We utilize technology, we increase our internationalization efforts at home, and we also want to increase our collaboration with international partners, leaning on each other and sharing some of the resources that we have. Next slide, please. And so with this in mind, in the spring 2021, we launched several pilot projects within the virtual programming area as a new way ahead. We really wanted to keep global learning available at a time where there were a lot of limits. So in spring, we sent 22 KPU students abroad on virtual exchange programs, things like virtual semesters abroad, internships and cultural exchanges with our exchange partners. We awarded 9 bursaries that fully funded the student experience, so student didn't have to pay a dime for these experiences. Actually, the remaining students that didn't get the bursaries were participating in free activities. Next slide. Also, it really showed us that we were able to include a whole new demographic of students from a wider range of disciplines that previously were kind of locked out from these experience, even students in the postgraduate diplomas, students in the diploma program, and students in some of these limited intake programs where they can't really just take a semester off. So that was really nice to see. And obviously we launched a pilot COIL initiative, which is what all of you are here to hear about. We launched one course in the human relations course that Leslie taught here at KPU. And let me just dive into that a bit. So Leah, please, next. So what is COIL? COIL is an acronym for Collaborative Online International Learning. Basically, it's a way of teaching that connects students, professors in different countries for collaborative projects and discussions as part of their coursework. And in many ways, the name itself is actually very explanatory. It's collaborative, so it's one or more partners working together in delivering joint learning outcomes. It could be co-teaching or shared assignments, shared classrooms, etc. Online, it is to use the internet, video conferencing, and other technology to mind the gap between geographic locations. It's international, intercultural in nature, and it really enhances the participants' intercultural skills. And lastly, it's a learning experience. It's an academic experience that is part of a course curriculum most of the time. And COIL has been used, it's not a new thing. It's been around for at least a decade. And it's a way to internationalize at home in an accessible and cost-effective way. It's also a really good professional development opportunity for faculty members. And it helps us reach an aim of global engagement for both students and faculty. For example, the EU, they have virtual exchange / COIL initiatives and funding for a very long time now. So I think the pandemic really presented an opportunity for Canadian institutions to work on this. So across Canada, I think COIL has been relatively new. In the last year or so, more and more institutions are taking on that. Next slide, please. So in terms of the COIL methodology, I took this image from SUNY. They're the leader in COIL projects in the United States. So basically, you have 2 courses from 2 different institutions. Both are generally credit-bearing courses. And you have the 2 levels of collaborations. You've got the professor collaborating on planning and designing the course, and then you've got the students collaborating on things like discussions and projects. Here's something to note is that it could be same or different disciplines. I know some of our other Canadian institutions counterparts, they've done cross-discipline things, so you're not really looking for an exact match. It doesn't have to be that way. And language, the language can be different in the 2 institutions, but just an FYI, all of our exchange partners do teach in English as well. So you can keep that in mind as we go through the slides. And next slide, please. In terms of what types of COIL projects are available, I changed the colors up with the 2 different types of clouds. The darker clouds are more of the more intensive and more involved kind of projects. So you have like joint assignments or projects, which is basically what Leslie and Blanca did. You'll hear more later. Joint discussions, joint classrooms. It could be as long as 8 weeks or even the whole semester, or whole year projects. I've heard those too. Or could be a little bit lighter. I mean, it could be things like just connecting the students to meet outside of the classroom. It could be asynchronous learning. This is really useful, especially with some of our European partners where basically night and day time difference. It could just be one shared lecture. It could be as small as just 2 weeks or 1 week. It depends on you and your partner, how you want to design that collaboration there. I just put this here because I don't want you to feel very daunted by just some of the assignments that you see or projects that you see from COIL projects. The next slide, please. Your global development team's support team, basically, we're a non-teaching unit. So how do we support these initiatives? Well, we do support KPU training for faculty at the West Coast Virtual Exchange Institute at Langara College. We partner with them and we send our faculty member to those training. It's a 5 workshop kind of situation. We also help connect faculty with our partners abroad. If you just have an inkling of like, I'm teaching, I don't know, English and I want to partner with an institution, we'll look into the database for you with that and set you all up. We assist with the promotion of the course, and we also help you troubleshoot anything along the line. And if you want to, after the COIL project, sometimes faculty members visit each other. We can support that as well, or any campus visits. All right, so I think that concludes my slides for now. I'm going to pass back on to Leah. Thank you.
Thank you, Ada, for your informative introduction on COIL. Now, with that background knowledge in your mind, you may start to wonder how to put COIL into practice. So today we have invited Leslie and Blanca. So basically, both of them will jointly share with you their experience, student feedbacks, as well as some of the challenges throughout the COIL course in the last spring semester. So Leslie and Blanca, now the floor is all yours.
Oh, thank you, Leah. And I just have to share our slide deck. And get to the beginning of our presentation. Oh, I'm giving you away here, Blanca. Sorry. I'm going to turn it over to Blanca and let her start by setting the context of our wonderful partner.
Thank you, Leslie. Hi, everybody. My name is Blanca Urdiales. I'm working at Universidad de Monterrey in Mexico as a teacher and part of the International Program Department. I'm glad to be here to share my experience with Leslie about our COIL project that it took place in the first semester of this year. Thank you very much for inviting me. Well, for a starter, I want to talk about a little bit for my country, for Mexico. Thank you, Leslie. Mexico is wonderful. Mexico is amongst the 10 most visited countries in the world because it's beautiful places, warm people, and delicious food. And not to mention its great culture and history. Can you change it? Monterrey is the capital of Nuevo León state, where UDEM is located. Monterrey is the third biggest city in Mexico, and it is the largest industrialized city in Latin America. Its population is 5.3 million inhabitants. It is a great city and a beautiful too, and it has a lot of places to visit. Can you change it? Thank you. Well, now I want to talk about UDEM. So what characterizes Universidad de Monterrey? Well, UDEM is a Catholic-inspired university, but is open to students of all faiths, not just Catholic. It was established in 1969. UDEM, can you change it, please? UDEM is considered one of the best private universities in Mexico and one of the 4 Latin American universities accredited by SACS. Can you change it, please? This is a picture for our campus in San Pedro Garza Garcia. This campus is a bigger one. It's just for undergraduate and graduate students because we have another campus from high school for high schools too. Change it, please. Well, Universidad de Monterrey is aware that right now we live in a globalized world and we need to prepare our students to face this reality. That's why in the international program departments, we encourage our students to be global citizens through different activities like COIL project and the study abroad program in two versions right now, virtually and well, face-to-face version. In both programs, the students may understand the world through its cultural similarities and respect its differences, all with a human sense. This is a hallmark from UDEM, be human with ourselves and with others. Can you change it? Universidad de Monterrey, we offer 1,212 exchange options through 178 agreements with 1,079 institutions in 71 countries around the world. It is amazing to be able to connect with all of them virtually as a COIL project or face-to-face in a study abroad program. Can you change? Now we are going to talk about our COIL project.
Yeah, thank you, Blanca. I am excited about the prospect of visiting you in Monterrey and UDEM and learning even more about Mexico. Yeah, so we want to start just by, setting the context that we were working in. Blanca's course is a course that's entitled Intercultural Competences. And the course that I brought to the COIL pilot was Human Relations. And so my course is a third-year course in a business program. With Blanca's course, students come in, they might be first, second, or third year from a variety of disciplines. So the courses were different enough just to create kind of an interesting learning environment, like a good diverse mix of students from diverse on a number of fronts, and similar enough that it made sense for us to do what I'd call a fairly significant COIL project. We really worked hard to integrate our students in a number of significant ways. And that made sense for our courses for a couple of reasons. The learning outcomes in our courses both relate to intercultural communication, intercultural fluency. So it made sense for the content that we were teaching. And then we also had the benefit of Blanca being an experienced COILer. And so that really gave me a lot of confidence and made me more comfortable kind of starting off with a significant COIL project. What you're looking at here on the screen is this is the site where our students would come to do their work. So this is a Moodle site that we created for them, and this is where they would come and work. And so now we're going to talk about our story in terms of how we got to the point where the students were showing up at that Moodle site to work. And it didn't happen overnight, for sure. We started, I think we started in October with the COIL training for instructors, which I think is a really important foundation. It was 5 sessions of 3 hours each that we attended virtually through Langara. And the focus, there was, a number of things we covered. We started off just really learning about each other, developing our relationship, our partnership. So, Blanca and I worked through exercises where we were sharing our strengths and our weaknesses, some of our differences and similarities, and really dived into relationship building. And then we started to understand a little bit more about our context. So the specific courses, what were the learning outcomes that were important in my course and in Blanca's course? And, for example, because I have a third-year course, there were some really specific things that students needed to have an opportunity to do in the group project. And so we were able to incorporate that for the students that were studying from my course, that they had the opportunity to do it in the group project. We also learned about the different student profiles skills and how that, would come to play in the students working together. So for example, the students from KPU, so many of our students work outside of class that anytime we're looking at doing group work outside of class, it can be really hard to coordinate.
Thank you, Leslie. One of the most important activity that we did in this training was to plan our COIL project. In this activity, Leslie and I talk about technology, what kind of platforms we could use, organize how many activities and assessment will our project have, schedule the sessions, not only for the students, but also for us as a teacher after this training in order to continue preparing this COIL project. Defining the hot topics was crucial because these hot topics help the students start the communication between them. And another thing that we found interesting in this training was learning from the rest of the participants, their experience before, their doubts, because I could also have the same doubts, and their proposals. And I think that my key message on this training is that even though I already participate in other COIL projects before, the time that I invested on this training was valuable, not only for our partnership, but also for getting to know each other. Next.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I would add to that, Blanca, for when I was in the training, because it was 5 sessions and each one was 3 hours. So it took time, right? And when I was in the session, I was thinking to myself, this seems like a lot of prep. This seems like a lot of work. I'm not sure that I really need all this preparation. And then when we were actually running the project and I looked back, I thought, oh, thank goodness we did all that work. And so it was one of those learning in situations where you really start to recognize the value after, right? So I can't recommend that training enough. Yeah. And it was really fun too to learn from others. In the cohort that we were in, there was a nursing faculty that was partnered with someone in Afghanistan, and it was just fascinating, right? The work that they were doing and the connections that they were making, and that was kind of inspiring to see the different possibilities. One of the things they shared in the training with us is this model of creating an intercultural team. And we took this model and this is really how the training ran for us. Like we spent a lot of time getting to know each other. And now I'm really happy and proud to call Blanca a friend and can't wait for her to come to Kwantlen and visit the Lower Mainland. And that relationship development just guided us all the way through the project because we're making hard decisions at different junctures and sorting things out and learning and starting to understand more about each other and about our education cultures, which was a big part of this experience for us as well. So we shared this model with our students, and this is how we approached the work that they did in the classroom. Blanca, anything you'd add to that?
Everything is okay with you. You are explained excellent.
So these are one of the first activities that we did. We used backward design to design the project work. So we started with, first of all, understanding the learning outcomes for our courses, and then we developed specific learning outcomes for the project that we wanted to do. And these learning outcomes, they fit within both of our courses and they made sense for the content that we were focused on. So we really wanted people to practice their intercultural communication and move forward in their intercultural development. And there was a lot of culture-specific learning. So understanding more about Canada and understanding more about Mexico. And in our sense, broader than that, because we had students connecting from India, China, Canada, and Mexico. So if you want to talk about balancing time zones, that gets interesting.
Very interesting.
Exactly. And then cultural humility. So, really starting to become aware of the cultural lenses that we bring to every encounter and situation and recognizing how it shapes how we view things and how there's the opportunity and possibility of opening that up and experiencing other worldviews.
Well, these are the activities that we designed to achieve those outcomes that Leslie said before. The first of all, the High Ola assignment. In this activity, the students had to prepare an infographic of themselves. And then in a small group, they introduced themselves to the rest of the students using this infographic. This icebreaker activity was a great opportunity to connect with the team they will work with throughout the project. So this activity was wonderful, and I think that the students connect much better because they explain about their things that they wanted or they loved there.
Yeah. And then, so after they had a chance to meet each other, their first activity was the intercultural interview. And this is where we had them explore hot topics. So the Canadian team, or the KPU team, and the UMed team each developed a list of interview questions and they interviewed each other. And we gave them prompts. So we said, think about, what do you really want to know about? So they talked about social media, they talked about nightlife, they talked about gender equity, they talked about COVID, anything that they wanted to know. What was it like to be, the age bracket 18 to 22, kind of in how does your life unfold? They loved this activity because it was set up in a way that they could have a conversation that you wouldn't normally have right off the bat with somebody that you might meet from another country or another culture. And they were the most, they were really surprised at how similar their interests and their experiences were. That's the kind of the key takeaway at this point in the project.
Yeah, and remember, the students say that they love this intercultural interview because they arrange their meeting and they own schedule. No, Leslie and I don't say when they have to do this intercultural interview. They decided. So this thing is an important thing for the students, that they has a capability to decide the days, the schedule, the questions, and I think that was a great activity, right?
I agree. Yeah, they had fun, and it's interesting. So the what they produce, the deliverable, is a really short, after they do the interview, then they think collectively about, well, what does this tell us about working interculturally? What did we learn about intercultural development, about intercultural community or communication? What did we learn about our own culture by having this opportunity to talk this way?
Excellent. Well, the last activity was amazing too. Each team elaborated a chapter of an intercultural magazine where it explained the different cultural perspectives between countries, Canada and Mexico, about the 8 topics like tourism, waste, health, education, among others. So the results were incredible, and well, we will talk about this in a moment. Can you change the?
Yeah. So the results.
This is the results. This is our final product, the intercultural magazine. You can see in this slide, in the left hand, the winner cover page of our intercultural magazine. It's wonderful because this proves how hard our students worked. Okay, and in another, please click on the waste work in order to see an example.
There we go. Yeah. We were blown away by what the groups produced. And this is just one example. And this, Blanca and I were laughing at this, not laughing, but not seriously, something that Canada and Mexico share. We're both in the top 10 worst countries at managing waste.
Sorry, Leslie, sorry to interrupt. I think we can't see the shared PDF. It's still back on the slide. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, darn. Okay. Sorry, I didn't know that would happen in Zoom. Oh, I'm having a wonderful time flipping through it. But
and I'm like, yeah, it must be really interesting when you're circling.
Yeah.
okay, so now I need a second to get out of this PDF, which is not my talent when I'm in Zoom, to get back out. I feel like I'm just going to stop sharing for a second, and I'll try to go back in and get going again. Sorry about that.
No worries.
Don't worry, Leslie.
We all have these days.
Yeah, well, lesson learned. Okay.
Well, I mean, if it doesn't work, we can probably send the link into the group chat and people.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. Sorry, I'm just getting back to my Zoom.
Okay, well, the team who made this chapter was conformed with 3 KPU and 4 UDEM students, and the team defined the subtopics to be investigated, and they had to research about them. And this, well, the final product is this chapter. It's wonderful. It's an amazing work and a hard work for the students.
I'm back. Thanks, Blanca.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you can see in the chat. You put the link in the chat? Yeah.
Oh, I haven't done it. I'm not that talented. I was still getting back to my slides, but I will put the link in the chat.
Right? Okay. Yes, please click on it and see and watch the Intercultural Magazine chapter of Waste. Is beautiful and amazing. It's totally a professional work for these students. Really is amazing thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so Blanca, your students had something to say. Experience.
Yes, well, as a part of my final grade of my course, my students had to write an essay about their experience on the COIL project. And these are 2 testimonials from them, from Carla and Paola Picasso. So they feel that this experience marked their life in a positive way. They got to know a new culture and made a new friend. Really, this activity is wonderful. I can tell you.
Yeah, and I collected some data from my course and, asked a series of questions. So the first one, COIL was effective in achieving the learning outcomes of your course. So people either strongly agreed or agreed. And would you recommend COIL to other KPU students? The most important question of all, and 100% agreement that they would recommend this experience to others. So we learned some lessons and identified some opportunities going forward that we want to share as well.
We can always learn something new. In this case, it's not an exception. Leslie and I learned a lot of things. First of all, the technology selection challenges, because all platforms could not be used. So we have to be patient and willing to find the best option for both, from KPU and UDEM. The second lesson is class scheduling. When we were planning the activities for this project, we found out that there was an overlap in our class times. So we had to be flexible and find out the best time for both of our classes. And the different time zone was a challenge. Mexican and Canadian time zones were different. That was a very surprise, because in the first session, in the first 2 sessions, we had 2 hour differences. But in the last one, just 1 hour. So we had to be aware of the time difference in our sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. It was funny. So the seasonal time change happens at different times in Mexico and Canada. Did not know that until we were trying to get people online together. Some of the other lessons we learned, one was around language, and it was really interesting. The UMed students, they primarily study in Spanish, and in this particular course, they work in English. And so which was, so generous, right, to come to us working in English. And so I asked my students if they found that a language barrier interfered, and they said absolutely not. And I think part of what contributed to that experience was that first of all, for any assessment, there was no grading around the grammar or how it was structured. It was all around the content and what you learned from the experience. And then also it gave me a really good chance to talk to students about something that I really think we need to talk to students about, is that when you come together to work on a team, you shouldn't have the expectation that everyone on the team is going to bring the same skills and do the same work on the team. The reason we bring teams together is because people bring different skills and experiences. Mm-hmm. And so teamwork doesn't look at us all doing the same work. It is about us finding out what each of the team members is good at and then leveraging that strength for our team. And so they went into this partnership with that perspective. And that was really, really valuable. So the language and the assessment, really, really important. We learned something around activity design, and we have an idea for the next course that we're going to partner on. Both of our main activities, the interview and the magazine, were they were comparative work. So it was learning about Canadian, a Canadian topic and a Mexican topic, and then writing and comparing and contrast. We really liked that for the hot topics, where they got to explore differences and similarities around their experiences. For our major group project, we're going to shift away from compare and contrast to collaborative work. So we're going to do something using the Sustainable Development, the UNESCO Sustainable Development Goals, and have the teams come together to create, ideas and possibilities and projects relating to these goals. So it's a shift from compare and contrast to real collaboration. And that, to me, is a really exciting opportunity. And so that we're going to be partnering in the fall with a Faculty of Arts course and Blanca's course, and we're going to be trying that. So that was a lesson learned around around our design. Many opportunities for students.
Okay, well, if we talk about what kind of opportunities we had in this collaboration, I will have to say that it made us get out of our comfort zone, challenge ourselves and our abilities. In my case, it was not to be afraid to speak English because it's not my mother tongue. So I appreciate that Leslie was very kind and patient with me because she considered me and our language differences.
Yeah, and just challenging all kinds of assumptions. This is a quote from one of the students in the class. So this is what they had the opportunity to do, to challenge their ways of thinking, as well as challenge how I communicate and learn how I can communicate in a different ways.
Exactly.
Another student said, really, this opportunity gave them good practice working with a variety of people from different backgrounds. And this kind of experience working with international partners is likely going to be part of my career. So that opportunity to experience different ways of working made a difference for the students and also for Blanca and I.
Mm-hmm. And well, last but not least, thanks to this kind of project, everyone has the opportunity to make new friends. 100% of our students from KPU and UDEM say that this collaboration helped to discover and establish new friendship with people of another country, and they want to continue connecting with each other.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you that for me as a teacher, in Leslie, I found a great partner, a very professional teacher, but as a person, I found a wonderful, kind, and comprehensive friend. Thank you, Leslie, and thank you, KPU, for the opportunity to collaborate together.
And thank you, Blanca. I have to say the same. Blanca's patience around changes that we had to make on the KPU end were just never ending. And then she brought this calm confidence and her experience that, it made me confident as well in doing this work. And Blanca, we were going to talk a little bit too about, like, from our perspective, this really is instructor PD as well, right? And I learned so much and so much around advancing my own intercultural development. And in one particular instance, I remember when we were assigning the topics to the students to create the intercultural magazine, the idea was that we would just give each group a topic. And, when we talked about that, it made me feel a little bit uncomfortable. And I was thinking, that's, I wonder what my students will think of that. We're just going to tell them what to do. And so we, I came back to Blanca and we talked about it. And I said, well, could we give them choice? And she said, well, that's, it's hard. So we came with a solution of, creating a draw. So people, had an opportunity. It was random. So I wasn't just, assigning people. And then to satisfy my discomfort with that kind of direct assignment of topics, they did have the opportunity that if they could pitch a topic to us. So if they wanted to do something different, they could pitch something to us. And none of the groups took us up on that opportunity. But it was really interesting for me from an intercultural development perspective, because I had that experience, and I always think when we're learning interculturally, it sometimes starts with a little bit of, that's something's up here that feels a little bit uncomfortable. And it was during one of the students' presentations where a group presented on education and education systems and education approaches. And so I got to learn more about the approach in Mexico. And I went, this makes so much sense. I completely understand now why we had, why I experienced that. And so for me, personally, I just felt like this was a great growth opportunity too.
Yes, it was a great opportunity to learn each other about our strengths. I think I said it before, Leslie is a very professional teacher. I learned from her a lot of things when we planned this project, the organize, the select the topics, select the times. So that is wonderful. And I learned so much from you. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you. Vice versa. Yeah. So that's the end of all we had to say. We just in closing, a friend of mine who works in mobility and international exchange always says that in these experiences, really, it is a lot of fun. And when you're talking to people about it, we should say we learned a lot and we had a lot of fun. Otherwise, people think that when you're doing this, all it is a good time. But it's so much more than that. We learned so much, and so did the students. Yeah. So we learned a lot and we had a lot of fun. Yeah. And that's it.
That's all.
Wonderful. Thank you both for that lovely presentation. I mean, this is the magazine, and it still blows my mind in terms of how much the student put together in that effort. But thank you both. Thank you, Leslie, for taking on this first project and being the first KPU instructor to take on this project. Really appreciate that. And of course, thank you, Blanca, for being such a wonderful partner in, helping us start our COIL journey here at KPU. And I want to say thank you to UDEM. I think we have 4 colleagues from UDEM who joined this call today. So thank you for joining the call, and thank you for all the support that you provided to Leslie and Blanca. Next, I kind of want to touch base quickly before we head into the Q&A, some next steps, basically how to start a COIL project at KPU if you're interested. After hearing that presentation, I'm sure a lot of you are really interested. I've been getting some direct messages already from the chat box, so that's lovely. Next step, please. Sorry, next slide, yeah. So the process at KPU basically begins with an expression of interest. So you can send that to us at globalpartnerships@kpu.ca. Let us know you're interested. We'll match you with an international partner if you don't have one already. And then, next step would be attending training with the partner. So Leslie and Blanca both went to the same training together. This happens usually a semester prior to the beginning of your project. So for example, we have some instructors that are starting in the fall right now, and they are taking the training starting tomorrow. And then you'll go into your planning and design phase, and then you're going to conduct your COIL project, and then you'll participate in some post-project surveys and or presentations like this with us. Next slide, please. So deadlines, they're kind of loose at this point, but this gives us time to connect you to the right people and also sign up for the right training. So we're receiving expression of interest for spring 2022. So basically by August 1st, if you can let us know that you're interested, then we can start that process. In general, it's going to be about 1 semester before for you to let us know that you're interested. But again, yeah, feel free to contact us. We do have a form that you can fill out, but you just email us at the end of this webinar if you're interested as well. I have one more slide. Oop, next slide. Yeah, I do want to talk about the partners available, for the next semester. And we're very lucky to have some of the partners on this call already. Clearly, you've heard a lot from UDEM, and they already shared the list of areas of exchange that we can work on. I know Leah's going to send out that list after this presentation as well. We also have other partners on the list, our Polish partner, SWPS, Nottingham Trent University. We're working with them in the fall. Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences, AUAS. We have Eva on the call. I think she's the COIL lead from that area. And I know they have put together some proposals that I can share as well after the presentation. PUJ from Colombia is also interested in working with us, and RMIT Vietnam. This is not an exhaustive list, by the way. We have more than 50 partners around the world. These are the ones that have just been very active and say, hey, do you guys want to do something together? And we want to be working with them in the spring. We have a full running list on our website, so you can always check back on our website. I'll also make sure Leah provides that link in the follow-up email. If you already know somebody though, that you have a colleague or friend in a different university you want to work with, we can explore that as well. I wonder if I can take it to 2-3 minutes and maybe see if Eva and Brenda would like to say something. Because I know Eva is right there, and Brenda, if you would like to also say something to Eva, would you go first?
Yeah, sure. So at the Amsterdam University of Applied Sciences, we do offer COIL projects throughout the university, but I think you are partners. Funnily enough, we do partnership per school or faculty. So I think we have a partnership with the Faculty of Business and Economics. We have a lot of different programs. Human resource management is one of them. But International School of Business, we have Dutch taught and English taught programs, but you do not need to fear any Dutch spoken programs because all of the COIL projects we actually do in English. The language of instruction, while the students are in the classroom, might be Dutch, but the collaboration would be entirely in English. We also, like you, facilitate COIL design workshops. So I facilitate those for our university, where if professors or faculty cannot attend your course and they're developing a project with one of our Amsterdam colleagues, we're also happy to welcome them into our COIL design workshops. For the last 4 years, we've done quite a large number of projects per year. We were around 20 to 30 projects, but this academic year, we're, I think, beyond the 70 projects. So there's been a lot of interest, a lot of intake. So we have learned a lot, and we're very happy to keep expanding our partnerships and this type of collaboration also with partners where traditionally we did mostly mobility. So looking forward through Ada, you could probably stay in touch if there's any interest. So looking forward to seeing you there.
Yes, lovely. Thank you so much, Eva. And then Brenda, would you like to say a few words? Oh, you're muted.
Sorry.
Okay.
It's common right. Thank you, Ada, for giving us the opportunity to work with you in Canada. Blanca was telling us all the time all the wonderful experiences that she had with Leslie. So we're very proud that this project was successful, and we are looking forward to develop more and more projects in different disciplines. Hi, Eva. We also work with Amsterdam, and actually, Eva was one of our first COIL partners long time ago. So we're close friends, and we also have provide faculty training at home at UDEM, but we also are open to take training from other universities, such as the EVA's training or the one that you are offering, Ada. So we're very open to all of the opportunities. We would like to keep expanding COIL projects at our institution. And I already shared the list of faculty members who are looking right now for partners, either to work for this coming fall or next spring from the next year. So we're happy, and we for sure want to have more partners, more faculty members from KPU. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly, but happy to be collaborating in Canada. I was an exchange student there so many times, so many years ago, but I have very fond moments and thoughts about Canadian people. So thank you.
Aw, thank you. That's so sweet. And, you know, this really showcases our international cooperation. We are partnering with, you know, two partners that really are, you know, years ahead of us in terms of COIL. And thank you for supporting us in our infancy stage of these COIL projects. Anyway, without taking any more time, I'm going to pass it back on to Leah so we can start the Q&A. Yeah, go ahead, Leah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for everyone. Thank you, Leslie and Blanca, for your great presentation. It's always exciting to see the students' accomplishment, and also for Ada introducing the processes and how to conduct COIL. So just wondering, are there any questions from our participants today? Let me just...
Leah, how do we do this? I have a couple questions. Do we have a speakers list or something?
Yeah, go ahead. What's your questions?
All right, so I have a couple questions. This is great, and I'm very happy to see the results, of course, and it's great. My first question is maybe to Blanca. If you look at the community or at your university, what is the demographics look like? I mean, are they all from the region, from Monterrey, or they come from all over Mexico, maybe other places in Latin America? So that's the first question. And the second question is, are you planning to do something like this face-to-face? Because of course, I appreciate your efforts to try to run this online, but I imagine it's incredibly much wealthier if the students could be there and be able to you know, rub shoulders, and of course be immersed in the community and walk around, go shopping, go eating, you know, go, why not drinking, or you know. So yeah, first is, what is the demographics? How does the demographics look like? And two, if you're planning to do this face-to-face, and I strongly recommend you that you do it. Yeah.
Thank you, Marcelo. Well, the demographic, yes, we receive a student from all Mexico, from all the states of Mexico, and we have the incoming. So we receive international students too from the rest of the world with the university partners. And the second question, maybe Brenda could explain better.
Yes, I was writing.
No.
Yeah, now. It's because it's muted by someone else, right? So I was writing on the chat that, yes, a COIL project, Marcelo, could end up on site visits from both institutions. Before the pandemic, we used to have some COIL projects that ended up on site visits from both universities. So that is possible. That could be a result from a COIL project. And it's also part of the mobility that we used to have before, mobility projects, when we could do it before the pandemic. So I think it is possible once we are back to, I don't know what reality will be, but yes, we're open for sure to go to visit Canada again and to receive Canadian students to Mexico. And yes, that's a possibility for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure with the vaccine rollout, it's just not far away from, you know, recovering from the in-person mobility. Are there any other questions from our participants? No?
Then if I may, I have a comment, especially for Leslie, and this may be more for KPU, maybe, or I think it works for everyone. Leslie, I see what you did with Blanca as a great maybe model template for trying to onboarding our international students here. Do you see what I mean? If we could run something like that before they come to Canada, if they could spend some time in a 6 to 8 weeks program like this, in which they collaborate in a online, safe, controlled environment, let's say, then they will be so much readier to come and study with us, right? And I think that would apply to Blanca as well, and you then.
I would say that Blanca, the design of this project was Blanca's, and it's brilliant. The way she structured it, she brought this to me and I said, yes. She had an opportunity to do this before, and the way it's structured really works for creating a safe environment initially, and then taking steps along, to increase the risk, so to speak, but also increase the collaboration and the work that students are doing. So it's really brilliantly designed, and that is Blanca's doing. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the question. So when we initially started this COIL project, it's not only born for the pandemic. We're hoping to, hold this COIL as a sustainable development project later on. And I think it's a great idea that students, they can come earlier, have some, sessions together online, and then come to KPU later on, and then collaborate with the faculties. So because of the time constraints here, I know everybody's busy and you have your own meetings afterwards. So I will conclude our meetings here. So thank you so much for everyone joining us today. So Ada has already put our contact email in the chat box. If you have any questions, please do feel free to reach out to us. We are here to help you. So Ada, do you want to say something before we conclude here?
Yeah, I guess I'll just say thank you again for participating, and Blanca and Leslie, I know you guys are doing another fall edition of this. I was hoping yes, but that's okay, we'll do it another time. And I also see that Fergal had a question. Fergal, would you mind just emailing us after this and we can address that? But all in all, thank you everybody for taking the time to listen into this presentation. We'll connect soon. I'm already getting a lot of emails now. So we'll go ahead. Thank you guys. Have a good rest of your day.